So all of you out there standing, you're welcome to stand or come forward and take a seat. We're going to now hear an update, or we're going to hear the pitches from the finalists. And I think Carrie and Sarah are just going to take us through this slide real quick.
Of course. So right now what we're looking at is we're looking at the 10 finalists for the Make a Pitch competition. 8 of those are going to be live interviews, and the other 2 are going to be the videos that you guys are going to be able to see for the final rounds. So next up we have, it's just going to be, again, they're going to give you the 2-minute pitch, which we all get to witness, while the judges up in the front are then going to go into a 3-minute deliberation giving them feedback. Carrie?
Yeah, so something that's really unique about this year's Make a Pitch is that we actually do have video pitches, which I know Sarah kind of went into, but they're from MET students who are actually master students in entrepreneurship. Say that 3 times fast. And so we're really looking forward to showing those videos, and then we'll also have a quick networking break while judges are deliberating.
Okay, so we're going to do 2 things before we actually start the presentations. First, I'm going to make one quick comment about the final bullet up there, which calls it publishing pitches. We didn't really explain this particularly well, but one of the things the entrepreneurship program did last year is we introduced what we called a publishing track. So students who are interested in having the experiential learning opportunity of creating a manuscript and actually publishing a book were able to take this track. This is a program that was developed by Georgetown and has been led by Mike Pastrani on our end. And many times, for instance, what happens is the entrepreneur who's starting a business may also write a book to actually create some legitimacy and capabilities that makes them a highly credible person in their area of expertise. And at the same time you get done with that program, you actually have written a book and published it. So it's a very unique skill set that you have done by learning, by doing. Okay, I'm going to just use the podium for a minute, and I'll switch spots with Carrie and Sarah. I do want to take a time to give a very brief welcome and thank you to the judges. First of all, I want to thank Rick Bars for being here. Rick is well known in this community. He's a former CEO of Isabella Bank Institute, which has also been a great supporter to CMU, and he's got many, many accolades. And of course, as you might expect as a banker, he's very strong in finance, okay? All right, Joy Buchanan. Joy is another individual who has been a great contributor to CMU. She's the owner and consultant of Buchanan Communications. She's been in the journalism and the publishing world. At one time, she was the key public relations person for Dow Chemical. Now she works with startups and consults on communications issues. So thanks, Joy, for being here. Kevin Campbell. There's at least 20 broadcast students here who probably know Professor Campbell. He is a faculty member here. He's well known. He's a great supporter of the New Venture competition. He also does consulting and communications in assisting businesses in their communications goals. So thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate your involvement. And I mentioned earlier, he and his wife Liz have an endowment that they've directed the funding to help support doing these live broadcasts using significant capability, which creates learning opportunities for folks like Carrie and Sarah, as well as others who are doing the live streaming here as well. I want to thank Tom Koch. Tom is a great friend to the school. He actually is the Chief Compliance Officer for Great Lakes Angel Funds. That means he actually knows the laws. He is an attorney. He worked for the state, but he's really a serial startup person. He's started several companies. He's judged with us before. He's very active in the Michigan ecosystem. So Tom, welcome. We want to see you again, all right, before the end of the year. Okay, I'd also like to welcome Bill Cook. Bill is recently retired from Fiat Chrysler, where he was the head of their supply chain management for the Asia Pacific group. He just relocated back here from Shanghai, and I think he's now going to be having plenty of time to come up and help at CMU. So thank you, Bill. We appreciate your involvement. I'd like to recognize Michael Drew. Where's Michael? There's Michael. Michael's a CMU alum. He started a company and participated in a new venture competition. He currently he owns his own consulting business. He consults in growth marketing and analytics, particularly aimed at startups. So he's located in Southeast Michigan and has been an active supporter for the new venture competition. Thanks, Michael. Okay. Tony Fox. Where's Tony? There's Tony. A lot of people here know him. He's the regional director of the Michigan Small Business Development Corporation for Mid-Michigan. He has owned a residential construction company, owned and operated. He's also very well known in the ecosystem, does a lot of work helping startup companies, and he is also a CMU alum that's provided a lot of support for New Venture. Thank you very much. Jackie Herring. I hadn't said hi yet to Jackie. Jackie, thanks for being here. She comes to us from Midland. She works for Dow. She's in global business services in the learning and change management space. She has an IT background. She's been involved in a lot of global IT projects and project management and has seen a lot of the startup world from that standpoint. So she's back for the second year. Thanks, Jackie, for being here. Okay. Where's Dom? There's Dom. Dominic Holmes. He's been a great supporter. He works currently as the Senior Business Development Representative for Oakland County. And he actually has got a lot of things going on there. I think they're trying to attract a lot of Asia-Pacific companies, right? So you may want to talk to Bill a little bit. And he formerly was with Automation Alley. He ran their Entrepreneurship Accelerator, Business Accelerator program. He has also started up a business in years past, so he has a great amount of experience in this area. He's also been a coach and a mentor for New Ventures for several years. So welcome back, Dom. We haven't seen you since you started working at Oakland, but hopefully we'll see you more and more. Yep, thank you. Okay, I also want to thank and recognize Anthony Lazaro. He is the co-founder of Carroll Health. He's an alum of the New Venture competition. He started several companies. Entrepreneurship from Foster, Swift, Collins, and Smith. And he is also an adjunct faculty member teaching, I think, the capstone, entrepreneurship capstone class. Yep. And he has worked with startups. He consults with them. He was our legal expert that worked in our accelerator program, and he did a phenomenal job. So thank you, David, for being here. We appreciate it. I'd like to introduce Corinne Schick. Corinne is also a CMU adjunct faculty member in the entrepreneurship department. She owns at least two companies, Incubate and Incubate Labs. She basically has she has an expertise in working with early stage companies and startups, and in particular, she has a lot of branding and marketing expertise. So we're very fortunate to have her, and we really appreciate you being here. Thank you, Corinne. Okay, I also want to welcome from East Lansing, Tom Stewart. Tom, thank you for being here. Tom he's again another serial entrepreneur. He has 7 startups, and 2 of them he's at a nice liquidity event, I'm told. Okay, so obviously he's a lot of experience. He also he runs an incubator. He's done a lot of work as a manager for accelerator programs, and he'll be working with us this year on our accelerator program. So thanks for being here, Tom. Okay, Doug Strock. Doug is the Vice President of Global Language Translations and Consulting, Inc. He's also from Midland. He's started several businesses. He's involved in consulting for marketing, IT, project management, and he has a lot of focus in the application development area. He has a background, I think, in project leadership as well, maybe some of the last times we've had a chance to talk. So, Doug, thank you for being here to help these students. We appreciate it. Matt Ewell is the Merger and Acquisitions Advisor for Calder Capital. He's also a former VP for Huntington Bank, So he's heavy on finance, and now, interestingly, he's really working with small businesses to help with succession planning and brokering sales agreements and mergers and that type of thing. So he's got a very interesting role in Michigan. He's a great resource for all you entrepreneurs to know, okay? Thanks, Matt, for being here. Okay, and last, and certainly not least, is Stephen Wakeling. Stephen is the founder and CEO of Phobio. He's a CMU alum. He's actually got a very interesting background. His current business is thriving. It's growing. He is also gets the award for coming the furthest to help coach these teams. And that's really in some ways, I shouldn't mention it, but I can't help but thank him, because what he does, his business is in Atlanta, and this is the third time he's been here in the last 7 days. Now, it helps that he has his own plane, and he's a pilot, okay? And he has a lot of money. But aside from those things, we just expect that that's going to happen. So, Stephen, thank you so much for what you do, okay? Thank you. Let's thank everybody. Okay. Turn the page. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm turning this over to Carrie and Sarah, and I'm just going to help facilitate getting people up and down. Judges, I will say the idea is that we want to try to get through the feedback in 3 to 4 minutes. And so you do have a sheet there. I hope you figured it out. We have primary feedback commentators, and those of you who feel that there's absolutely something you want to share, we do want you to raise your hand, and time permitting, we're gonna get that feedback shared publicly. But if we can't do it, we want to encourage all of you to touch base with the entrepreneurs so that they get that feedback. Okay, so that's our deal, and I'll turn it over to Sarah and Gary.
I think you have a piece of paper that we need, actually.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes. Well, we're going to kick things off with the MET student submissions, which are the 2-minute video submissions. So up first, we are doing eCode Incorporated.
Hi, I hope everyone's doing all right today. My name is Jordan Scheffler, and I'm the founder of eCoat LLC. Now, I want to ask everyone a question. Do you know how much plastic is being thrown out yearly? Well, the number is actually pretty staggering, and according to the Washington Post, a study suggests that by the year 2050, there will be more pieces of plastic in the ocean than fish. And this is really a problem for everyone. It's really worth solving because we need to preserve our natural environment in order for future generations to live a healthy lifestyle. So eCoat LLC pledges to help solve this problem by providing a realistic solution. We'll participate in a mutually beneficial agreement with a local recycling center. So we're going to pay them for the recycled plastics and give those plastics another life by incorporating them within our installation. So this practice will ultimately reduce the amount of plastic that ends up in oceans and landfills. eCoat is unique. And it's unique because our main insulation ingredient is a plant-based fiber, cellulose. So we're not the first insulation company to use cellulose. However, we'll be the first to incorporate recycled plastics and denim, which makes our insulation the only available option that actually prevents waste. Today, there are many restorations being done to historic buildings in Detroit, Michigan. People are seeing the artistic integrity of these buildings, and they're restoring them and saving them. They're doing this instead of building new properties, and they really see the value in the artistic integrity of these buildings. And this is really why we have pinpointed Detroit as a targeted market. So we're going to make money by contracting with local building developers, and we're going to install our eco-friendly installation in these buildings. So our next big milestone is to help complete a restoration of a historical building in Detroit. By doing this, it's something that's very important to us, and it's something that I have visualized myself for some time. So I'd like to wrap everything up, and thank you for listening to my pitch, and have a good day.
All right, let's give it up for eCoat Incorporated.
Hi, I hope everyone's doing all right today.
We're going to go right into some judge comments. We're going to start things off with Dom Holmes.
All right. I think it's a wonderfully compelling business. I certainly understand the social responsibility aspect of it. I think I would have liked to have heard a little bit about, the experience and, why this was such an important topic for this individual to address, for Jordan to address. But I think it was a wonderful pitch in an extended format. Maybe we could hear that.
Absolutely, thank you. We're going to move to Matt I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting pitch. Makes me want to hear a little bit more. It took me a minute to figure out that he was pitching insulation. So I guess just to be more succinct on what his actual product was up front would be my only critique.
Definitely. Okay, we're going to move on to Michael Drew.
Yeah, so this was definitely an admirable business to start. I think that's fantastic. I think my 2 bits of feedback would be that I walked away with not clear on is the acquisition of materials. How are you going to get a lot of material that's recycled plastic? So I'd like to know a little bit more about that. And the second thing is those unit economic costs. So installing this installation into these nice buildings and things like that and going commercial or even the residential route, why would a builder choose this material? It sounds like it's going to be more expensive to get it downstream to these manufacturers. So I think those are my 2 bits of feedback.
Okay, Joy Buchanan, let's hear what you have to say.
As a communicator, I am interested in the fact that he didn't talk about that at all. How is he going to communicate this? How is he going to share the information? I don't think he's going to end up wanting to work with just one company, so I think to get credit for his company, he needs to really spread some of the information and some of the good story that he has.
Okay, and last but not least, Mr. Rick Bars.
Yeah, I agree that it's a good pitch. It's dealing with the ecology problems, and I've seen it. And then he made the statement he's going to basically go into the recycling centers and purchase from recycling centers, go in that market, which is probably a good market to get in. I was just a little when you had the name eCoat, I was just trying to figure how that name compared to the related, to the insulation business. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe, do we have any additional comments from judges? Okay, well, we can move on to the next MET competitor, which is Right Place, Right Time.
Hi, I hope everyone's doing.
You've just gotten engaged. Congratulations. This is the most exciting time of your life. Now you get to start finding the vendors that you will need for your big day. These vendors include the venue where you will hold the event, the photographer, the videographer, the caterer, the baker, possibly the transportation, hair and makeup, dresses, tuxedos, everything else you could possibly need for your big day. So what most people do is they drive around all over the city or all over town. They call so many phone numbers trying to get a hold of vendors who are able to meet their price range and are available on the date that they want to get married. Imagine having all of this in one place and not having to drive all over town. Imagine having a beautiful venue where you can hold your event and have the offices available for the vendors to meet in one location. Also, imagine having cabins on the land where your out-of-town guests could stay. This is my business venture idea. Right time, right place events and cabins. This will provide a venue for people to get married in and have parties. It will also have offices for the vendors to meet with the clients so that the clients don't have to go all over town. There will be one phone number to call and get a hold of multiple different vendors. The other part of this solution is to have cabins on the land. The cabins will allow for out-of-town guests to stay the night or for the weekend. It will also allow for the bride and groom to have a place to stay until they leave on their actual honeymoon. Thank you so much for listening. My business venture is Right Time, Right Place Events, and I am Shannon Wright.
Alrighty, that was the MET Scholar Right Place, Right Time. First up for the judges, we have David Now.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting idea because a lot of planning a wedding can be very stressful, and so convenience can be huge for a lot of folks. But kind of tying in with that, then I think it would have been really wise to emphasize convenience, ease, and then also the fact that this really just allows you to enjoy your big day. A lot of times that gets lost with all of the things that go into a wedding. So I think those would have been great points to emphasize.
Thank you. Up next, Kevin Campbell.
I think it's a really interesting idea. I wasn't quite sure if she was going to have the venue in addition to everything else, or it was just the planning. It's a little weak on that part of it as to specifically what the business is that she's pitching there. Which element, because she kept talking about the cabins.
Alrighty. Up next, Bill Cook.
Yeah, I agree with Kevin. It was, it's a venue to have the event, but it's also the planning, and I think she should have emphasized one or the other, or made it more clear that that they could be distinct. And I think she should spend more time on developing that idea.
All right, thank you. Stephen Wakeling.
Yeah, I think you hit convenience really hard. I think it came out of the gate sounding like it was going to be a kind of bundling of vendors and an easy access, but then there was the venue kind of thing kind of came in. So I think there's probably a better way to communicate that. It's instead of vendor plus or venue, it's like venue plus vendor. It would be great to understand where this would be and like how that compares to kind of comparable services or venues in the area, and like price point and potential size of the business. It would be great to hear some of the numbers at least, I think.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Doug Strock.
Yeah, I would agree with everything else that's been said. And also, there was really no mention of what made it unique and what her next big milestone was. Did she have to acquire all this? Is it already in existence? There was really no mention of anything financial in it at all.
All right, thank you. Do we have any additional comments from the judges? Okay, we're going to move on to the next. We're going to move on to the live pitches now. Up first, we have coming up is the Sustainable Market.
Have you ever thought about what the world would look like without grocery stores? Would you be able to sustain yourself on the things that you could grow or create? In the US, the households, only 35% of them either have their own garden or utilize a community garden. This is 200% up from the number it was in 2008, but it's not good enough. Most houses say that they can't own a garden because they don't have the time, the knowledge, or the space to do so. Our goal is to change that. My name is Brooke, and I want to open a store in Rochester, Michigan called the Sustainable Market. We would value community, philanthropy, and sustainability, creating this box called the Barn Box. You could order this product online or in stores, and it would be filled with everything that you would need to grow a seed, from a seed to a seedling to a plant. You can customize the box between the different types of seeding you would need, if it's going to continue to be an indoor garden or an outdoor garden. And with that, you would be able to receive a list of instructions that would say how to do the whole process. But if hands-on is more your style, then you have a free pass to the class that we'll be offering, so you can learn about what you'll be doing, how to do it. You'll be able to do hands-on research in the community garden that will be on the same place. And then you'll be able to go home knowing that what you learned you can apply and do yourself. For every new season, we'll have different classes so that your garden will be sustained throughout the year, and we'll be having extra resources that you would need to help the garden at the Sustainable Market, as well as other sustainable household items. So not only will you be sustaining yourself in the food aspect of your house, but also in all the other products and resources that you would need there. Our next step is to talk to organic farmers and to see how we can add the most value to the boxes for our customers. Thank you.
I think you can stay up here, yeah. All right, thank you very much, Sustainable Market, right? So we're going to jump right into some judge comments, starting with Anthony Lazaro.
So I had the chance to hear this when I was up for the alumni workshop, and two things. One, you've changed what you're doing, and I think it's the right move. And the second thing, which is probably more important right now, is you seemed a lot more confident pitching, and I think it seems like you really are passionate about this new process in the box. I think, excuse me, I think that there's an educational component too, that, you know, there's a lot of thoughts that started triggering, so I think there's a lot of directions you can go, but overall, good job pitching, and good job being confident doing it.
Thank you. We're going to move on with Tony Fox.
Nice job on your pitch. I think that this is definitely hitting on an area that's still ripe for growth, and that local sourcing and understanding where your food comes from. There's so often, you know, every day there seems like there's a new CDC listing of some sort of contamination in the food supply. So kind of knowing and having some control over that's a really big topic. And if you're easing that ability for somebody to do that, that's exciting. I'd like to know more about how the organic farmers fit in particular, how you would address the seasonality of your own garden and you know, non-growing seasons and things like that. But overall, nice job.
Thank you. We go now to Tom Koch.
I would say the one thing you probably didn't do is define the problem enough, because this is a huge problem that a lot of people have no idea what's going to happen in like 5-10 years to where we get vegetables from. But I do love the fact that you're really emphasizing that educational aspect. As someone who's grown vegetables quite a bit on a farm, even for experienced people, it's not easy. So getting people started in it, that's a phenomenal thing, and having those educational resources is huge.
Thank you. We're going to hear from David Nows.
Yeah, so I think the pitch did a good job of being concise, detailed in the right spots, and brief in the right spots, and so good job kind of fitting that all into 2 minutes. On the criticisms piece, I thought the next big milestone, instead of talking to farmers, might be to talk to your customers. And it would be interesting to see how they would best like the educational aspects of this venture. Right? They might want classes and workshops, but they also might want videos that they can play on their phone while they're growing these things if they have questions while they're out doing it. And so figuring out maybe the best way to deliver that education might be really useful.
All right, thank you. And to wrap things up, we're going to talk to Corinne Schick.
Hi, good job. I wanted to echo what David said about the market validation at the end as your next step. Make sure you're talking to your customers and really understanding their motivations. What's holding them back from creating a garden? What do they want to grow in that garden? How long of classes or like little time intervals do they want to spend investing in the garden? So that way you can create the kit completely around their needs. The other thing that I was wondering about is how much are you looking at selling these kits for, or what your margin might be? I know that you also talked about classes. One of them I know is free. I don't know if the other ones are free or not free. I'm assuming they're not, but you didn't say that, so that would be something to include in your next pitch. And anything that says the demands, how many people really want this, will strengthen your pitch. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you, judges, for all of your commentary. We're going to move on to the next candidate, which is Sound Cup. All right, and right now, currently, Sound Cup is setting up their demonstration.
I love music, as many of us do, but being a broke college student like I am, there's only so many options for me. Smartphone audio is getting better, but the sound still will not fill a room. Bluetooth speakers are getting cheaper, but they are still expensive. Not only are they expensive, they are constantly dying, need new batteries, and consistently need to be connected to. Well, I have a solution that needs no connecting, fills a room with sound, and costs next to nothing. I introduce to you the Sound Cup. This product is meant to eliminate all the issues of a Bluetooth speaker, but still give you an increase in sound and quality compared to your phone speaker. Watch how it works as I play a classic song on my phone. Now watch as I enter it into the Sound Cup. official prototype. This is just a similar design, and for the sake of a pitch, used as an example. As you can see, the volume on the phone speaker is amplified easily once put into the product. On the table, there are examples of 2 models that I plan on creating. The first is the centerpiece model. This model is designed to be put into someone's house on their table and be used kind of like a centerpiece, as the example just showed. The centerpiece model will be the first model to be launched and will be a little bit more expensive than the next model, the advertisement model. The advertisement model will be used, as the name states, as an advertising unit, placing whatever ad a customer wants onto the cup. Here I have 2 examples of how an advertisement unit could be used. These models will be sold in large bundles to event coordinators or large businesses. These will act as a knickknack for people to hand out to advertise their selected business or event. At the end of the day, we might all just need to hear each other better. So hear me when I say this: no charging, no connecting, just sound. Sound Club.
Alrighty, we're going to move into the judging round for Sound Cup. Up first, we have Stephen Wakeling.
Yeah, I think it was good to well-considered pitch. I think you went through a lot of really good stuff. Applaud you for using props. That's cool. And having a demonstration all in this amount of time. It'd have been great to understand kind of like the underlying. I know that it's not like an electronic device. This is just like a kind of form, like a vase or something like that. It'd be understand kind of like acoustic principles or like the science behind what makes your product better than just like a cup or something. That would be great.
All right, thank you. Up next, Jackie Herring.
I think you did a great pitch. Really enjoyed your demonstration. I don't think you mentioned anything about your price point or what you might charge, so that would be of interest to me.
Thank you.
I'm going to stand over here because I couldn't really see it very well from my position. I think you did a great job. I like the confidence again up there. I love props, as Stephen was saying. Some of the things I'd be concerned about, right, is it is just a cup, so what prevents competitors from entering the marketplace and basically duplicating what you're doing? Essentially, like retail commodities, what you're talking about is a very competitive, very noisy space. I know 2 minutes is I probably say this every time, 2 minutes is a really tough time limit, but a little bit how you might kind of rise above the noise and how you might get your product out there.
All right, thank you. Joy Buchanan.
I also agree it was a great pitch. I would like to know a little bit more about how you plan to sell it and promote it, and some of the finances that were involved. I think those would be 2 important things we'd need to know.
And finally, Rick Bars.
I agree that's a good pitch. I was having trouble following at first how it would operate, because it wasn't operating electronically, and I wanted you to make it real clear that it wasn't. And I didn't pick up on that until you rushed through it at the time. So.
All right. Do we have any additional comments from the judges? All right. Thank you very much.
All right, well, as we clear the stage from the Sound Cup demonstration, we do have Ignite Donuts coming up next. If you guys are ready, come on up.
There are 160 local bakeries in Michigan that all struggle with the same issue. Their products lack in freshness. Products such as donuts and other baked goods sit on racks for up to 20+ hours before being sold to customers. Businesses lose thousands of customers each year due to their unfresh products that they sell. Hi, my name is Casey, and I am a co-founder of Ignite Donuts LLC. Over the past year, my business partners and I have done extensive research to find a niche within the donut industry. Our niche was found through a campus-wide survey. 83% of our respondents concluded that they prefer customizable and fresh products. From owning a business and being an intern at Cops and Donuts this past summer, I have seen it firsthand how unfresh products turn away customers. That is why I've created a new product to solve all of these issues. I introduce to you the Ignite Warmer, a fully electric, customizable, and temperature-controlled display case that keeps all baked goods fresh all day long. The Ignite Warmer costs $1,000 per unit, which is about the same size of one of the judge's tables. It will produce a gross profit margin of over 70% for our business. The Ignite Warmer not only improves products, but it also creates a branding opportunity for businesses. Since it is electronic, bakeries can display their menus and promote advertisements. Current display cases are out of date, and there are no products alike the Ignite Warmer out there. Businesses need to improve to avoid losing any more customers. I am asking for a $10,000 investment to develop this product and appropriately sell it to businesses. In doing so, Ignite can diversify our product line and continue to supply the freshness that customers demand. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to jump right into some judge comments, starting with Tom Koch.
Donut connoisseur. Sound Cup guy brought samples. You need to bring donuts next time. No, on a positive side, I like the way in your presentation you mentioned the research that you did and how you went out and did some customer validation. Keep doing that. I think Corinne already mentioned it, but that's a great thing to do, and that's how you solve a problem, is by finding out where there is a problem. So I really appreciated that.
Moving on to Corinne Schick.
Hi. I like how your concept is constantly evolving and changing. I like that you have the warmers now, or keep fresh units. I don't actually know what you're calling them. I'm curious on actually how you define fresh, because at the beginning you were kind of saying the duration of time that it's been out, but if you're saying that it's fresher but it's still out long, like your definition is changing. So just take note of that. The other thing I was wondering is, like, how many respondents have you actually made or tested a unit yet? And I would love to see what it looks like, because I'm really curious with the menus and everything. So, yeah, good job.
Michael Drew.
All right, I think you have a good problem that you're trying to solve. For various reasons, I understand the donut problem with being left out. So I think you're after a good problem. I also appreciate that you are not only a serial entrepreneur, but you're a donut entrepreneur. Specifically, you've been through the ringer of a few different donut startups, so I love that. I have a question, or I guess what I was left with is, your product is this display case that will help preserve the donuts. But I walked away not understanding how it was actually going to preserve them. Most of the time, food industry will use actual preservatives in the product to preserve them. So I didn't understand how this display case was going to work. So I would have loved to know that. And then I think on the growth of actually getting customers and people to sign up for this, I challenge you in your revenue model. It sounds like a big barrier to entry for companies to invest in something like this. So maybe there's a rev share opportunity or royalties, something like that. So, but great.
Let's go to Dom Holmes.
So I agree with Michael that the problem that you're trying to solve is very compelling. I think what I would have liked to have heard is, what is the current state of the art? How are bakeries or other entities trying to resolve these issues or overcome them? And a little bit more about the display and the advertising aspect of your business and how you're going to monetize that in relation to the other properties that are compelling to a business owner that might be interested in the product. But otherwise, I think it was a wonderful, it's a wonderful, compelling product, and I wish you much success with it.
Let's go to Jackie Herring.
I think you did a great job with your pitch. I'm also wondering about how you will advertise your Ignite Warmer, but I thought you did a great job.
Okay, thank you so much. Up next, we have our next entrepreneur, Ale Academy.
My name's Austin Heron with Ale Academy, and cheers. So in the past decade, the craft beer industry has grown from a niche market to a major market. However, craft beer drinkers looking to enjoy the process that goes into a pint faces a logistical nightmare. If a craft beer enthusiast wants to brew their own beer, they have to sacrifice money, time, and the physical space for brewing equipment. Many people don't really want to sacrifice this much for a hobby, but however, this process should still be enjoyed, but in a simpler way. Imagine a location in the Detroit landscape that offers a place where you can enjoy a pint and the process behind it, Ale Academy. Our craft beer lovers will have the opportunity to go through a guided tasted tour to better know their tasting preferences and then be included in every aspect of the brewing process, brewing, labeling, and then of course enjoying the final product in our tap room. Ale Academy will generate revenue through personal beer sales, outside beer sales, merchandise, and primarily selling our brew on-premise experience. Ale Academy will build a culture around the process of brewing, and that's what will set us apart from our competitors. This process that we're striving to promote, the appreciation of the process that we're striving to promote is to hit a goal so that when a person drinks the beer and glances at the label, they know how it was made, who made it, them, and where the ingredients came from, Michigan. So my question for you is that, would you like to be a part of the process and reap the benefits, or would you like to just enjoy the end product as a consumer? Cheers.
Alrighty, we're going to move into the judging for Ale Academy. Up first, we have Tony Fox.
Nice job on your pitch. I think to answer your final question, both. I'd like to do both. The guided tour, interesting idea. Understanding the entire process and having an appreciation of that, I think makes sense to me. What I'm struggling with is, craft brew folks are going to be really keyed in on the quality of the beer. Okay, so it's sort of chicken and egg in my mind that you have to have good beer for this to be of interest, otherwise it's not. And so is your path into the market best suited to do this on your own private label, or to somehow partner with existing breweries that maybe aren't doing as much of the educational and tour aspect and providing that service to them, that they're focused on the production and you could maybe be an add-on service to them, was part of my thought. I'd like to hear more about the capital. So if you are making your own beer and understanding the team that's behind that and why your beer is going to be good and the capital outlay that you're going to need to have up front to do that would be helpful to know.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Doug Struck.
Yeah, I thought it was a good pitch. I was not clear on what your next milestone is, and do you already have a facility lined up? Is it something that you're just looking at, kind of where you are in that process?
Thank you. Now, Matt O.
Yeah, I think along the same lines, I mean, it's a competitive space. I live in Grand Rapids and have watched that brewery scene grow over the last decade or so, and just trying to differentiate yourself, I guess, just getting more specific on what competition is out there. The do-it-yourselfers versus the brew pubs are two different markets, and you're kind of combining them, so just understanding that business model a little bit more.
Thank you. Up next, we have Rick Bars.
Yeah, good job on the pitch, pretty clean. The craft beer business, this is huge. It's just a huge business. I know you're tapping into part of it, no pun intended. But I was a little confused at first. I thought maybe you were going to show people how to do it, and I don't know if that was what it was, but anyhow, I did get it at the very end. But then you did talk about the beer sales, so I assume you're going to be licensed for all that type of thing too. So that's it.
Thank you. Now we have commentary from Anthony Lazaro.
So, want to know about the long-term vision with this. I think it's either going to be a single location, or it's going to be like a franchise model, or something along those lines. So I think within 2 minutes it's difficult enough, but what's really important is to share what that vision is, because the ultimate goal of a 2-minute pitch is to gain interest and have them wanting more. So I think you did that part in terms of wanting more with other aspects, which was good. And then, what's your experience with this? Obviously, you know, you may have had a craft beer or two. Have you went through the brewing process yourself? Was there cost? You did mention that it's expensive. Maybe you could say, hey, here's how much the average cost is. Here's how many people do it. Here's how much it's growing with maybe some data points just to paint the picture for investors who are probably focused around numbers.
Okay, thank you very much, Ale Academy. We are going to move on and hear a pitch from Manitou Adventure Partnership.
Hi, my name is Matt Albright, and my partners Nick Polehill and Wesley Swartz and I started MAP, or Manitou Adventure Partnership. Before I talk about that, I just want to see who here would be interested in a backpacking hiking trip to Colorado. And keep your hands up if you think that you could pay for that trip out of pocket right now. Okay, now keep your hands up if you could tell me the date that registration opens for backcountry sites in Rocky Mountain National Park. All right. So as you can see, there's a lot of interest in outdoor adventure, but there's a couple barriers. That's money and experience. MAP takes care of both of those because we plan and facilitate low-cost excursions all across the United States. To give you a little bit of a background, my partners and I started backpacking when we were in high school with zero experience and a budget that was also pretty close to zero. But after years of trial and error, we got really good at making trips as affordable as possible. Flash forward to today, and for $300, that's $100 less than a single credit hour at CMU, you can get a 5-day backpacking trip to Wyoming where everything is covered except your food for that trip. We're not a glamorous guide service, but we'll get you out there for a price that's affordable even for college students. I also want to take the time to talk about what the three of us consider is MAP's most important asset, and that's our community. There's just something about bringing together a bunch of people that have an appreciation for the outdoors. We see it turn complete strangers into lifelong friends over and over again. And that's probably because there's no cell service in the mountains. You're forced to engage with the people around you in the backcountry and on the long road trips, which is why our next step is to buy a passenger vehicle so we can all ride together. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for a real, unfiltered outdoor adventure that doesn't break the bank, come with MAP on our next trip, and I'll see you on the trail. Thank you.
All right, we are going to move into judging for MAP, starting with Kevin Campbell.
I think you did a really good job of hitting all of the points, particularly the part about building relationships, and it's that it's a low-cost trip, and the adventure of it, having done backpacking in the mountains of New Mexico. I get this. I know exactly what you're talking about as you explained it.
Now some commentary from Stephen Wakeling.
Yeah, I've seen you pitch before, and I think I appreciate you know, that you've sticking with it. I think that's fantastic, and it really comes across. This is something you guys enjoy, and I think you guys have a really great story of how you started it. Overall, I think, you know, it was really interesting.
Thank you. Let's talk now to Bill Cook.
Yeah, I like the passion that you obviously have for this business. I think you have a good target market and you know, reasonable cost. So I think it's something you should continue to develop.
Thank you. Now we go to Tom Stewart.
I'm going to stand again. Hey, Matt. So actually, I just, this last fall, I hiked the Appalachian, or part of the Appalachian Trail there in Virginia. Also really, someday I would love to do the Triple Crown here in America, but we'll see if we can get that done. I think it's an interesting space. There's a lot of people trying to curate experiences, whether that's hiking or whatever. The only concern I have, right, is I didn't know anything about the Appalachian Trail or how to schedule a Triple Crown and things like that. But you know, through TripAdvisor and some online research, it wasn't terribly difficult to do. So something I would want to hear more about. And again, we keep talking about how 2 minutes is tough, but a little bit about how you differentiate yourself from some of the common go-tos on the internet right now would be helpful.
And last but certainly not least, Anthony Lazaro.
Biggest thing, is this a lifestyle brand or is it something that you're looking to scale and make money? I think that there's a huge opportunity for the community, as multiple people have mentioned, and I think that there's trips and going on the trips, but then there's the other aspect of planning trips and curating content around those trips and implementing brands and influencers and then implementing them within those trips. I think there's so much crossover and opportunity with what you're doing, and I think the best thing with this opportunity is one, the team and you guys, and the fact that you're already doing it, and you're in college and you're doing it on a budget, so it's relatable. If that's the market that you start with as college students, great. I think that you're going to evolve as you individually evolve and your team evolves out of college. I think you're going to find a much bigger market out there, but it's a great place to start, so well positioned.
All right, thank you so much, Manitou Adventure Partnership. Up next, we have Resin.
My name is Natalie Weiss, and I'm here to talk about the fastest growing industry in the United States today, the cannabis industry. Our business, Resin, aims to be different than any of those in existence today. We want to cook gourmet foods, infuse them with cannabis, and deliver them directly to customers who may be uncomfortable with smoking or would just like a unique experience. Edibles are projected to be the fastest growing segment in this industry, and Forbes estimates a growth of 25% annually. There is nothing like this in existence. We plan to have each entree be between $15 and $20, and consumers can choose to upgrade their THC or CBD levels for a small upcharge. Not only do we want to revolutionize the edible industry, but the food delivery experience by having a wide range of menu items that go anywhere from shrimp fried rice to pulled pork sandwiches to vegan and gluten-free options. So, who is our team? Obviously, I'm Natalie Weiss. I'm a broadcasting and cinematic arts major, as well as a communication major. I'm going to be focusing on the social media and the marketing. My partner, Nolan Scheid, unfortunately cannot be here today due to a family emergency, but he's an entrepreneurship major, a marketing minor. He's the inventor of this brilliant idea, and he's the 2018 Canna Insider Scholarship winner. So we are currently looking for investment to make our vision a reality. Michigan passing Proposal 1 makes it the perfect time to start this. History shows that when regulations shift, it often spurs a wave of entrepreneurial activity. Just because this business is unconventional does not mean true entrepreneurship does not lie within. Join us in reimagining this emerging industry. Thank you.
Alrighty, we're going to move right into the judging. First up, we have Michael Drew.
All right, I can't speak a ton to the business model, or at least the product, but what I would be curious about is with the legal landscape of the legalization of marijuana and the products associated with marijuana across the country in different states, being state by state, I would have loved to know kind of your specific markets and how you're entering those markets, and then who in those markets, who are the actual customers that would be using the products. Are they people who already like to use cannabis or marijuana or that sort of thing? Are they, brand new people experiencing it for the first time? Because the differentiation between those two types of customers are order of magnitude and size difference. So I think you could maybe just in your next pitch speak a little bit more to that, but overall, very clear and concise and great job.
Thank you. Up next, Dom Holmes.
Okay. So first I want to compliment you on the polished, conversation-like delivery of the presentation, which I think was wonderful. Beyond that, when it comes to the product, I guess in an extended format or maybe even in this format, one of the things I would like to hear a little bit about is how you plan to handle quality control. One of the biggest issues in this industry, I believe, is how you can make sure that the quantities and the amount of THC or whatever you're consuming is similar to the piece before. So how you might tackle those issues, because those could potentially be large barriers to your business, would be something I would like to hear. But a fantastic presentation.
Commenting next is Jackie Herring.
I think you did a great job. You're very confident, so I applaud you. I think maybe depending on your audience, you may want to provide samples. You have a very unique product. Yeah. And I'm also interested in how you would deliver your gourmet edible foods.
All right, thank you. Corinne Schick?
Yes, I like that you're doing a smoking alternative because I think that's better anyway. And to piggyback off of what Jackie said, I was just wondering about, I know that this is newly passed here. I don't know if there's any sort of shipping regulations or anything that you're going to have to be concerned about, but it's one of those things I would just look more into. Overall, you did a really good job, so good luck.
And finally, David Niles.
Yeah, I want to applaud both you and Nolan on, taking constructive criticism and developing the idea over the last year, but then also knowing when to ignore criticism that's just because this is a new idea and, some people are uncomfortable with it. So very good job on that. The pitch was polished. The one piece of feedback I would give you has nothing to do with the content of the food, but has totally to do with the preparation of the food. So this almost has to be a made-to-order service, and so I would wonder how long does a customer have to wait from the time they order until they get the food, and is that a big barrier? It might be, and do they have something else to do on the premises? And if they do have something else to do, are they factoring that in when they also order their food, because that could change their experience? So all those kind of things in conjunction are something to consider. Good job.
Thank you. Do we have time for another comment? We unfortunately do not. We have to wrap it up after that. But feel free to talk during the networking time we have after this. Up next, we're having Braille Foods Syndicate.
How many of us have ate today? And how many of us have thought about what we've ate? Wouldn't you have rather supported small, local family farms that raise chicken, beef, and pork outside? Hello, my name is Delbert Garrett. I've been farming for 10 years. I've written a book about the importance of small family farms, and I've been raising chicken, beef, and pork organically outside and selling it direct to consumer through farmers markets and online. But you won't find my products in Meijer or Kroger, and the reason is there is a major roadblock at processing. The solution is Vrai Foods. Vrai is French for truth, so Truth Foods. Vrai empowers small, local farms that raise to our standards to reach that much larger market, including my own farm. And how this works is they purchase product from the farm, Vrai processes and distributes it under nationally recognizable brands. What makes the solution unique is that we carry the farm name and the location with the product. And then when it's distributed back to the community around the farm. And when it's on the store shelf, it has a Vrai Food national brand, and then underneath, it'll say by Joe's Farm. We have already been partnering with small local farms already for my direct-to-customer business. Our next big milestone is looking at processing centers either to purchase or build. To summarize, what we're doing is opening up a big market to people who do not have that access right now, small family farms. And to reiterate my experience, I've grown my direct-to-customer business to $200,000 in sales, and really this is kind of our next step. I can only grow so much. Thank you for your time. If you'd like to talk afterwards, I'm available, and good night.
Thank you very much. First, we're going to talk to Joy Buchanan.
Very interesting idea. The only thing I guess I wonder about a bit is how people will feel about the current laws and regulations on processing food today, and whether it will be the same as what you have, better, worse, whatever. And you didn't really address that, so I think that might be something good to talk about. Also a little bit more about, what kind of product levels you're going to have and how much you're going to have and how you're going to be able to meet the need if it becomes very popular.
Let's hear now from Doug Strock.
Yeah, I thought it was a good presentation, and my thing would be more about the business model and how you're going to capitalize or get revenue.
Moving on to Tony Fox.
Nice job on the pitch. I think this is definitely a problem. We work with a lot of small farms, and you know, there's this divide from the small to the large, and there's not an intermediate. I mean, there's just the way that the scale works. So finding a way to support them and provide them access to a market that's currently difficult to access is really cool. Again, it goes back to my comments earlier about local sourcing being of great importance, so I think that you're hitting something there. I'd encourage you to connect, if you haven't already, with the Michigan Department of Agriculture and the U.S. Department of Ag to make sure that you're aware of what their efforts are. Ag is number 2 in the state in terms of an industry. Food processing is a gap, though. And so the more we can process in the state, the more value add goes to the farmers, and that's a really important thing. So nice job.
Let's talk to Matt O.
Yeah, good pitch. It just took me a minute, honestly, to get past the name, the Vrale Foods and the syndicate part. And you know, you mentioned what Vrale meant, but you might want to focus a little bit maybe on branding and rethinking that, you know, because you've got, I think, a good story with small farms and that, but the name doesn't really, I don't think it hits what you're actually doing just by looking at that name. That was my only feedback. Thanks.
Lastly, David Nows.
Yeah, so I thought this was a great delivery of the pitch because you have an idea that consumers need to, you know, trust you on. And your pitch came across as very authentic. You were very knowledgeable on the subject matter, and that really showed in 2 minutes. You communicated a lot of your expertise while, you know, seeming very honest and authentic. I thought that was really key to tying everything together, and so, you know, I would certainly take all the feedback on content that the other judges gave you into account, but don't change a thing on delivery. I thought that was very good.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to our last competitor, DIY Brew Club.
Hello, my name is Cody, and this is Nick. I guess I'd like to start out with a quick question. Who here enjoys a beer every now and then? All right, now keep your hands up if you can brew that beer from scratch. Okay, there are a few of you. I am aware of this, but most of us can't. Actually, there's 1.1 million homebrewers in America today, and 50% of those people started within the last 4 years. So there's clearly a lack of knowledge, and as I believe Ale Academy stated, there's a lack of time. So our, I guess, business would be addressing that problem. DIY Brew Club wants to create a personalized subscription service, $35 a month, and we send you exactly what you need to brew the beer as far as ingredients and directions. Much like Dollar Shave Club would be a fun and presentation way to show you exactly how it'll be and keep you involved in the community.
At $35, this puts us right at the same price range as our competitors. However, they use standard shipping. We will do one-day shipping, and we will also ship our ingredients cold. What this will do is will help preserve the yeast and the hops so that you can get better flavors out of your beers.
My background actually has nothing to do with brewing, which I believe may sound weird, but I think that's perfect for why we're partners, because that way we can make sure we cover in our booklet and our directions exactly what people new to this environment or hobby don't know. So like we can apply his extensive knowledge, research, and his, I guess, #1 hobby to the things that I want to learn, and so I can do the same thing.
I have over 1 year's worth of experience in the craft beer industry. I worked last year as an intern brewer at Mountain Town Brewing Company, and then I spent the summer working at a homebrew store, and I'm now bartending at Mountain Town, and that's where I've been getting our customer validation to show that this is something that people do want.
I believe our next big step would be looking into how we could market this, package this, and then after that, just look at costs. Thank you.
Alrighty, it's time to hear from our first judge, Tom Stewart.
Hi, guys. Really good job. I mean, you can tell you're passionate about it. I like that, again, you guys had a pretty good idea of what your cost per month and talked about price. That's a good thing. One of the things, though, that kind of raised an eyebrow was then you said you're going to do one-day cold storage shipping, and at $35 a month, you could prove me wrong, obviously, in a longer presentation, but that seems like really tight margins to do. And I feel like I'm giving the same advice a lot, but subscription boxes, of course, are all the new rage. Every time I'm on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, I'm getting hit with an ad for that. Again, very lucrative, but very busy and noisy space. Your go-to-market strategy is going to be critical on how you gain traction in the market, and would want to hear a little bit more about that.
All right, thank you. Up next, Tom Koch.
Thank you, Central, for letting us get drunk, high, and eat good food. Fantastic Bruce Marble experience. Didn't go to school here, so. I would actually second everything Tom said about subscription boxes, and I'm terrified of the cold thing, only because I get my Chicago-style pizzas shipped this way on dry ice, and they're super, super cold. So how do you do that on such short notice and so forth? It's a 24-hour window. And I would say, again, it's a crowded space. I mean, that's a huge point, especially this beer thing is exploding, but it's kind of like cannabis, where I'm the token cannabis guy. I get hit every day with people going, here's my idea. How many of these other types of DIY brewing companies are out there? How do you differentiate yourself from that competition?
All righty, thank you. Now we have Stephen Wakeling.
I love beer, so you guys totally had me. I think I saw your pitch in the room, and again, I think the shipping thing, I think I agree, complicated, and it's like seems easy to copy. So if that's your big differentiator, you got to have a lot of momentum. So make sure your competitors wouldn't be able to catch up. Clearly, you know your stuff. I think that's it's key. Kind of like why you guys. Maybe it's a great idea, but your expertise in brewing is great, and I'm glad that you referenced that in the pitch. Your experience seems to be that you're not an expert, which I think that's a really interesting way to go. I would advise you in future pitches to say what you're expert at. That would be good. But I think the everyman thing, I think, is a pretty interesting angle.
All righty. Up next, we have Kevin Campbell.
I like the idea, like the concept for it. I like the idea of a brew club. I think it has merit, but you're in a noisy space, as others have said. The other thing that kind of struck me is how do you overcome that noise with other people, and how do you overcome the home brewer? How can you really reach out to the home brewer? And you were talking about your survey results, which are just at Mountain Town. You need to get out of that space and talk to a lot of other people to find out how you're really going to reach that market.
All righty, and I think we have time for one last judge, Bill Cook.
So I'm not concerned with the cold shipping. I think that's doable. I get my wine cold from California when I buy it online, so I don't see that as a real big issue. The subscription, though, I think you'd have to look at different models. Obviously, having brewed my own, I don't know that I want to do it every month because it is time consuming. But some frequency and varying frequencies might be a way to look at it. And I agree. I think you need to understand who that target market is and how big you can grow the business.
All righty, thank you so much. I'd like to take this time to thank all of our participants in tonight's competition, and I'd also like to take this time to thank all the judges who came in and dedicated time and resources to this competition that CMU greatly appreciates. We're going to move on to a little short deliberation period. We'll be back momentarily.
Well, you're going to do it, right? Are you going to like welcome back on everyone? Or you want me to welcome everyone back? Okay, can we please have everyone's attention? The judges have deliberated, and that was pretty darn close to 10 minutes. So let me get your attention. Please come forward. So we got everybody here, and we're going to have Sarah and Carrie make the announcements of the winners. After they announce the prizes, after your name is announced, please come up and we'll give you your certificate, shake your hand, and there's going to be a picture. And I think the picture is supposed to be up here, so we have the backdrop of the NVC behind us. So that's the process we'll use, okay? All right, I'll turn it over to Sarah and Carrie.
Okay, well, first of all, let's hear it for everyone who competed today. It takes a lot. Yeah, absolutely. We are going to kick things off by presenting the winner of our MET submissions, which is those videos that we watched in the very beginning. So winning our prize for the MET video submissions is eCoat Incorporated. Congratulations.
Obviously, nobody is here to accept that, but I hope they're watching live broadcast. Congratulations. We have a certificate for $250 for them.
Alrighty, now moving on to the live presentations, we're going to go backwards, starting from the 5th place winner all the way to the 1st place winner. So for 5th place, for a $50 certificate, we have the Sustainable Market. Congratulations to the Sustainable Market.
That is a $50 Texas Roadhouse certificate for her. Coming in at 4th place for our live pitches, we have Ignite Donuts. Congratulations.
Ignite Donuts is also the recipient of a $50 Texas Roadhouse certificate. Thank you so much. Coming in 3rd place, we have DIY Brew Club.
Congratulations to them, and they are our 3rd recipient of a $50 Texas Roadhouse gift card. And our runner-up for tonight's Make a Pitch competition, coming in 2nd place, is Manitou Adventure Partnership, or MAP.
MAP is the recipient of an $100 Texas Roadhouse gift certificate. Congratulations. Drum roll for the first place prize goes to Resin. Resin receives the grand total prize of the $250 Amazon gift card certificate, as well as one of those large checks you see on TV.
Congratulations to Resin.
Alrighty, we'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all of the participants. You all did an amazing job, and we're so glad we were able to be part of you for tonight's ceremony. So give it up for every one of the participants of tonight's 2018 Make a Pitch.
And I would like to just pass on one kind of piece of advice from the judges and the judging panel. I think the message is that we know that it's very hard to do justice to your business venture in a 2-minute pitch. The judges did their best really to try to at least flag what they thought were the areas that you have to be concerned about. And so you really need to think about the message you got from them and maybe understand the nature of the feedback maybe between the lines. You also have a chance to seek them out yet tonight. And also many of these folks do work with the teams and will be working with the teams through the workshops that we have as we continue on through the Make a Pitch. So once again, we know how hard it is to start a business. I applaud you for taking that first step, pursuing it, and now, like everything else in life, if it was easy to do, everybody would do it. If the amount of work you put in usually means the amount you get out. So go out there and make your business dream a reality. And thanks for being here, okay? Thank you.